Welcome to PsychoMinds, the great ideas of psychology explained clearly and backed by science. At the beginning of the 20th century, psychology was rapidly changing. Many researchers began to argue that human behavior could be studied scientifically through observation and experimentation. One of the leading figures in this movement was John B. Watson, considered the founder of behaviorism. Watson believed that psychology should focus on observable behavior, rather than internal mental processes such as thoughts and emotions. Inspired by the work of Ivan Pavlov, he began to ask an important question: could human emotions also be learned? To test this idea, Watson conducted an experiment that would become one of the most famous and controversial in the history of psychology. The study was carried out in 1920 with the help of Rosalie Rayner. The experiment involved a baby known as Little Albert. The goal was simple but powerful: to demonstrate that fear could be learned. This idea would significantly change how we understand human emotions. At the start of the experiment, Little Albert was a calm and curious baby. Researchers observed that he showed no fear toward various objects. These included a white rat, a rabbit, a dog, and even unusual items. Albert interacted with these objects normally, showing curiosity and interest. However, there was one stimulus that naturally triggered fear in the baby. That stimulus was a loud, sudden noise. When the researchers struck a metal bar with a hammer, the sound immediately startled Albert. He would jump and begin to cry. In this case, the noise functioned as an unconditioned stimulus because it naturally produced a fear response. Albert's reaction was the unconditioned response. With this foundation established, the researchers moved to the next step. The researchers began presenting the white rat to Little Albert. At first, the baby showed no fear. He even tried to touch the animal. But then the scientists introduced the loud noise at the same time the rat was shown. Every time Albert approached the rat, the noise was triggered behind him. The result was immediate. The baby became frightened and started crying. After repeating this pairing several times, something important happened. Albert began to show fear simply by seeing the rat, even when the noise was no longer present. The rat, which had once been a neutral stimulus, had become a conditioned stimulus. And the fear response became a conditioned response. This experiment suggested that emotions could be learned through association. The results of the experiment went even further. Albert's fear was not limited to the white rat. Over time, he began to show fear toward other similar objects. For example, he reacted with fear to a rabbit, a dog, and even a fur coat. These objects shared characteristics such as softness and light color. This phenomenon is known as stimulus generalization. It means that a learned response can spread to similar stimuli. This concept helps explain how fears and phobias can develop in real life. A single negative experience can lead to fear of multiple related objects or situations. Although the Little Albert experiment was highly influential, it has also been widely criticized. Today, it is often cited as an example of ethical issues in psychological research. The experiment induced fear in a baby without properly attempting to remove that conditioned response. Modern psychology follows strict ethical guidelines to protect research participants. Despite these concerns, the experiment had a major impact on the field. It demonstrated that emotions can be conditioned, just like behaviors. These ideas influenced the development of behaviorism and expanded our understanding of human learning. They also contributed to research on fear, anxiety, and emotional responses. More than a century later, the Little Albert experiment remains an important reference for understanding how the environment can shape our emotions and behavior. Here at PsychoMinds, psychology is presented in a simple, responsible, and science-based way. Subscribe to PsychoMinds for more insights into psychology.